It has been, give me a second, less than 24 hours at this point since the last time Blizzard did something uniquely stupid.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Mark Kern. If this name
Okay.
sounds familiar to you, that's because he was a director and manager for World of Warcraft for some time before he left Blizzard in
So you're telling me he was overpaid and did nothing. Got it.
2006 to co-found his own development company, Red 5 Studios, from which he was booted out of. In 2013, Mark Kern was voted out as CEO by the Red 5 board of directors.
Incompetent. What did I tell you? You can't find me a Blizzard developer that has a single shred of competency at this point. It's impossible.
No further elaboration was made about that. We don't know what happened, why he was voted out, but that can't be good. He's recently found himself facing backlash and ridicule because of a comment he made about title screens that I personally find pretty baffling, as did a lot of people universally across
9.3 million views. Wow.
games media, game development, gaming community, you name it. So this right here is his Twitter page where he tweeted about Starfield's start screen or title screen or main menu, trying to make the case that the title screen of Starfield shows that the developers didn't care about this game or that the team was just super rushed just based on the title screen alone. He said, the physiognomy of start screens, the start screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was and how much pride they took in their work. Starfield's start screen either shows hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team overworked or a team that didn't care. Quite a lot to get out of just...
Dude, man, if that's not the definition of reaching. Honestly, there's a lot of bad things you can say about Starfield. I have said all of them, okay? But the start screens, the loading screens, the menus, I mean, like, come on, that is just absolutely beyond reaching. And it's a space game. What did you want exactly? Tell me, what did you want? Did you want a picture of an anthill or something? Did you want a picture of an orc building a house? Well, it's a game about exploring space and planets. What did you expect?
this one simple screenshot. First of all, the title screen looks just like any other title screen. It looks fine.
Yeah.
Nothing mind-blowing, but it doesn't have to be. It's a title screen. It serves its purpose. Whether you like it or not, that's subjective, obviously, but it's minimalistic. It's got all the
I mean, if you have ever seen Fallout 76 start screen, then you probably think that this is a wild improvement.
menus you need. This right here on the top right, that's a bit intrusive, but this is not a big deal. I don't look at this and go, oh, this game was rushed and developers didn't care. I look at it and go, okay, it's the Starfield title screen.
Man, the look at that font, such a bad choice if the game's gonna be garbage just because of that.
Now, what about the game? Not to mention that Starfield is not the only game with minimalistic or simplistic title screens or main menus, but we'll get to that in a bit. Mark Kern continues. Start screens are often done at the very end of development. Teams are too busy making the core game. It's quite common for the start screen to completely change once a game is shipping or on patch 0. Teams that take pride want to put a good face forward and will often redo these just prior to the game going live, essentially claiming,
I mean, there's a little bit of truth in that. If anyone in Bethesda took pride in their work, there would be no Bethesda to begin with.
that either the team was super rushed with Starfield, which doesn't make much sense considering Starfield was delayed numerous times, with Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, encouraging Bethesda to take their time to ensure the maximum amount of polish, or that the team
He didn't want a Fallout 76 disaster. That's what really happened.
didn't care or don't take pride in their work just based off of this one title screenshot. And look, I don't know how Starfield is going to turn out. I was impressed by that 45-minute gameplay presentation that they put out there. And so
Impressed of what? Graphics from 2010?
I have high hopes for this game, but I don't know whether the game is going to be good. But what I do know is that to say that the people who are making this game, and I'm not talking about executives, I'm talking about the folks on the ground floor, the creative team, to make this generalization that the developers likely didn't care or didn't take pride in their work because Mark Kern has something against this particular design for the title screen just seems rather asinine. Like, you're allowed to not like the design of a title screen. That's a subjective opinion.
Actually, you know what? We have made full circle yet again. You know how usually it's the situation where really competent and professional people at a field, like, go at each other and call, who's better at something, and they call out each other? This is like the bottom of the barrel, going at each other just for shits and giggles at this point. It's great.
But to make these kinds of assumptions, it's something that people were baffled by. Now, Mark Kern insisted that he isn't saying that the game is going to be bad. He said that this is an IQ test. Anyone who thought I said the start screen determined the quality of the game failed. He was more talking about
I mean, I'm going to say it sounded 100% like he implied that the game is going to be rushed and undercooked.
Whether the game was rushed or if the development team didn't care or took pride in their work. And you can see, based on the ratio here of more comments than likes, more retweets than likes, that, yeah, this tweet didn't go down particularly well, or the
obviously
way Mark Kern hoped. Like, there's valid criticism, and then there is stuff like this that is completely baseless and adds nothing to the conversation, especially when this guy clearly hasn't played Starfield. So how are you able to gauge how much the developers cared or didn't care about this game? And even if...
I mean, it's a Bethesda game. It's like, the default assumption is the developers literally did not care. And, you know, they just allowed modding so someone fixes the game in like 5 years and it actually becomes playable. It's typical that Bethesda moves, honestly.
There are aspects of it that are worth criticizing. The developers, the ground floor developers, absolutely do care. And oftentimes the failings of a game tend to be a matter of management failures that led to a game being rushed, or that led to a game not being able to meet certain quality standards.
No, that's not true. The average developer is probably an absolute yahoo who doesn't understand anything, and they fail all their assignments and they're incompetent. Stop saying it's the management's fault that their workers are literally talentless hacks.
Because the managers were either overambitious or just did not allot
overambitious, or did you lie on your resume?
The right amount of time and the right development environment for a vision to be fully realized in its potential. And then Mark Kern tried to present the argument that never judge a book by its cover is a huge myth. Authors know this. People buy on covers all the time, which I guess on some level is true, but the title screen of Starfield isn't its cover. This would be its cover, as many people correctly pointed out, or the box art would be the game's cover, and this looks pretty dope. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
I have no issues with this, so there's a lot of bad faith argument going on here. Pete Hines, who is head of publishing at the company, responded when somebody asked what his thoughts on all of this was. He said they designed what they wanted, and that's been our menu for years and was one of the first things we settled on. Having an opinion is one thing. Questioning out a developer's care or a sense of pride or whatever because you would have done it differently is highly unprofessional coming from another quote-unquote dev.
I mean, it's actually, like, this is actually a lie. It is professional if you're calling out people on, you know, merit and substance, but obviously what he did was completely idiotic.
You can see right here, ratioed hard. This tweet garnered way more likes than this one did. And then below that, you'll find plenty of people in the content creation or media space who are just straight up clowning on Mark Kern because it was just such a dumb take. And also, there is proof that this was the start screen since many years ago. Don't tell him it was pretty much the same 2 years ago either. Mark Kern made this claim that the start screen is often done at the very end of development, but I imagine that varies on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Some developers may decide to prioritize
like
that.
Most likely. Give me a single reason why the starting screen should be done last. It makes no sense. And the starting screen is honestly just art, right? If even every company in the world had like a policy that said, okay, we're gonna do the starting screen until the last 5 minutes before the game ships, I think in the first week there would be some artist who says, yeah, I don't want to look on this white screen. Here's a not so great, but at least it's a placeholder for now.
Early on, or others might decide that they can save it for last. Also coming to Bethesda's and Starfield's defense was In Exile Entertainment, who commented via a tweet that has since been deleted that read, "We're moving all development resources off the game and onto the start screen. The campaign will be 45 minutes long, but the start screen will be 20 plus hours."
Smart.
Which got a good laugh out of a lot of people, but I imagine they didn't want to stoke the flames further, so they decided it was better to just like delete the tweet and not engage. Beyond that, looking at Mark Kern's responses to this particular tweet, you'll find folks, gamers from all walks of life chiming in and just utterly baffled that this is a take he decided to put out there, and plenty of people. You
see, these are the takes, and you're gonna tell me, "Oh no, it's management's fault. It's the greedy finance bill." No, most of you don't even know finance. Decides most of these things. "Oh no, it's the greedy developers' part that the game is bad." Nah, they're all equal idiots, as you can quite clearly tell.
People highlighting other title screens that are pretty simplistic and aren't representative of the game's quality or whether it shows that a developer cared or not. I want to put my argument out there and point out the Yakuza or Like a Dragon series. This is the title screen for Yakuza Kiwami. This is the title screen for Yakuza 0. Pretty simplistic. It's often considered the best game in the series, and nobody would say that that game feels like no care or pride was put into it. Here's a Twitter user who pointed out the title screen of one of the greatest games of all time, Chrono Trigger. This is the title screen. It's just a pendulum that swings, and then the title comes up, and it's a black background. That's it. And hilariously enough, Mark Kern highlights on his Twitter profile that Chrono Trigger is the best game. Would you say that's a game that didn't have any care or pride put into it because its title screen is pretty simplistic? Well, Mark Kern tries to argue for Chrono Trigger by saying, well, they put a lot of thought into the start screen of Chrono Trigger. Not only was it timed to music perfectly, it was also the first use of Nintendo's hardware Mode 7 on a title screen to animate the pendulum, which is a neat little fun fact. But it sounds more like your subjectivity on what you enjoy about a title screen is getting in the way of you being able to have a proper opinion and proper criticism about a game, rather than trying to claim that based on your subjective opinions on a title screen, you can...
"Oh no, the Battle Pass is taking away our gaming The Battle Pass doesn't do any of that. What can the Battle Pass take away from your gaming experience if there's no game to begin with?"
Tell whether somebody cared or not, or took pride or not on a creative endeavor that they worked really hard on. Here's one response to Mark Kern's tweets that highlights numerous title screens that are pretty simplistic in their approach. The Last of Us is just this window right here. Ghost of Tsushima is just this katana. Skyrim, it's just this symbol right here.
I mean, Skyrim's actually ugly, I have to say. It's like that Skyrim symbol's ass.
Skyrim's main menu follows the same model that Starfield does. This is just what Bethesda menus have always looked like. Ugly. Now, yes, one could argue that Skyrim had its fair share of technical issues and bugs when it launched, but generally...
which never got fixed, and in typical Bethesda fashion, they just waited until someone in the community decides to waste hundreds of hours fixing what Bethesda never planned to actually implement as a full game feature in the first place.
Generally, it was considered to be a complete game, a complete package that was fun enough where the bugs, while unfortunate, didn't completely mar the experience because there was so much to do in this game and people are having so much fun with just the sheer skill.
What do you mean, so much to do? I don't remember seeing these endless side quests, all unique as Todd Howard himself promised us. I also don't remember 16 times more graphical fidelity and detail in Fallout 76, by the way.
Scale of the open world experience and all the different ways you could tackle combat and
but God bless Todd Howard. He's one of my greatest inspirations for being the best snake soils merchant out there, because that man can lie. He can literally tell you how someone broke into your house and killed your family while literally murdering your family, and most people will probably still love him no matter what. It's beautiful.
Scenarios and quests and whatnot, and just how many quest lines were to do. The content was substantial. And then God of War here, it's just a background of just a bunch of trees that does seamlessly transition into the game, which is, I think, really beautifully done. But yeah, title screens
not the first game that does that, by the way.
Need to be overly complicated, or they don't need to be overly elaborate. They can be simple and symbolic and just something nice to look at that you'll stare at for like a couple seconds before you hit new game.
Yep.
And you're in the game itself, which is what matters. I mean, you want to talk about a title screen that completely destroys Mark Kern's argument? Check out From Software's title screens. This is the title screen for Elden Ring, and this is pretty much what FromSoft title screens look like across all of their Soulsborne games. Would Mark Kern look at this title screen with not a whole lot going on and say that FromSoft didn't put any care or pride in their Soulsborne titles in Elden Ring, which won Game of the Year and is regarded as one of the best open world games ever made? And would you say the same about every FromSoft game that has been released that has used this title screen format since freaking Demon's Souls? Let's look at some more, shall we? Here is Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, two very beloved games from Rockstar, whose main menu and title screen look like this. It's just, not a whole lot going on. But one wouldn't say that when it comes to the single-player campaign.
I love the idea that what is a lot going on, by the way, in a title screen? What exactly would that even entail? I have no clue.
For these, at least, that there was no care or pride put into this. And then right here we have the title screen for Final Fantasy VII. Very simple, just the sword, and yet there's something beautiful about its simplicity. And this is one of the best RPGs of all time, one of the most iconic RPGs. Another game people love with a simplistic title screen, Doom. This is what it looks like. Not too far off from Starfield, really. It's just the logo and a background that has some simple shapes and colors. And this user sarcastically tweeted, they just didn't care. Here are the title screens for other renowned games like Halo 3. Fallout New Vegas, it's just this wallpaper with various options. Dark Souls.
Now, admittedly, Fallout's New Vegas title screen does look a little bit better than most, but still.
Again, same with Elden Ring. Similar style of title screen. Very simple. Red Dead Redemption 2, once again, is pointed out. None of these go as hard as, say, Baldur's Gate 3 does with its title screen, which is a great title screen. But, again, that alone isn't indicative of much of anything. It's cool when you see a title screen that blows you away, but it's not the essence of a game or how much care or pride was put into it. And you can see that posts of simplistic title screens that introduced a phenomenal game with a lot of pride and care put into it are pouring in left and right. Xenoblade Chronicles, very simple in its design. Portal 2, the original Halo. Tweets like these are garnering hundreds, thousands.
Kind of feel that's honestly it, but it does make sense, obviously. Anyway, it looks like we're just gonna look at title screens for the... Yep, it's just gonna be a bunch of title screens, huh? Man, he's good at drawing out long videos. I should learn from him. Well, then again, I'm literally reacting, so... I guess I already did. Anyway, this was Sid. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye!